Here's every way I died in my first playthrough of Shadow of the Erdtree. The extra foot slam at the end of a very spinny boy. And I'm not sure everybody was kung fu fighting, that's simply too many people. Trying to somersault through a nuclear explosion at the site of impact wouldn't recommend. Every single one of this guy's attacks are slower than they appear. Getting hit by an entire combo is kind of my superpower. I underestimated the glowy spikes, and the lunge follow-up is absurd actually. Sometimes a death occurs long before the final blow. Okay, hit me with those spikes again and see what happens, and the exact same combo will work on me if used in succession. I call it brain big dumb, fingers no listen. An arrogant flask drink into an accidental double roll, just end me, the vibes are completely off anyway. Summoning those daggers is such a bitch move, and I'm too bloated to properly disengage. Who in the How to Train Your Dragon does that sword think it is? DreamWorks, how could you? Spamming a ranged slash attack is extremely PvP of you. The dev said now it's our turn to moonveil.exe. The twirling double slash had slightly more range than anticipated Wi-Fi extender. When a sequence starts and your positioning sucks and you know there's no hope and you've run out of chicken nugs. After attacking for 30 minutes, I'd assumed her combo was over, but in fact it was barely halfway. Very cool. Those swords chase you down like a police attack dog, and the drugs on my person would make any criminal blush. I desperately leaped for the final blow, but the atomic moons had something to say about that. Trying to swat a dinker little minion is extremely disruptive to my precise rolling technique. Also, I forgot to jump. So committed to remembering the jump, I forgot to roll this extremely rollable overhead smash. Under this overweight guy's armor is actually Po from Kung Fu Panda. Think about how heavy that club and shield are. This twinkle toe savage isn't even breaking a sweat. I call this attack flashbang retina damage with a 2% chance to melt your screen for real. I really thought I could outrun my destiny. Hot objects may be closer than they appear. The only thing that died here was any doubt I can achieve my dreams. I had zero faith this would work, but for a brief moment, I was that guy. This annoying old woman survived so much longer than I thought possible that my disbelief physically impaired me from avoiding her shenanigans. This was a classic case of vastly underestimating my opponent while a bird pecked my eyes out. Lesson learned. Climbing a ladder under pressure is a lot more finicky than it looks, and a 6-hit combo is egregious in my opinion. I knew I needed to descend this hole, but a rock wall slip and slide was not the way to do it. Ooh woo. Getting stuck in a corner and fighting the camera to death completely absolves me of any wrongdoing. By not locking on to this regular guy with a normal axe, I obscured my own vision and got earthbended accordingly. The thing about jumping in Elden Ring is that it's harder than it looks. That's fine, attempt number 2 will be different, he says, while applying clown makeup to his own face. No worries, this game is all about evolution, and sometimes you will evolve backwards. I've learned my lesson though, and I'd be very surprised to see another jump fail. Shut up, it's me, masculine man. Are you sick of feeling pathetic? It could be because you have low testosterone. But how can you know for sure? You're not force sensitive. You need blood work done, and blokes are the people to do it. They'll send a nurse made of actual diamonds to your house if that's more convenient. Optimize your biomarkers like this is an RPG, and you just got a high five from Keanu Reeves. Remember Gerald from The Witcher 3? He's 100 years old in that game. He only looks like this because he's doing TRT with blokes. Or maybe your appearance is more closely aligned with this guy. If so, Blokes has a suite of weight loss medications with your name on them, and it's written in cursive. This is you holding a large rock while composing a haiku because you just solved all of health with blokes. Do you want to be the sexual equivalent of Ryan Gosling driving a car? Well, fix your libido with Blokes Wellness Services and you can. What's that on your shoulder? An eagle delivering a handwritten note that has 2 words written in crayon. It's time. It's time to be the man you always suspected you could be. Standing on a mountain, shirtless, flexing, and slightly more tan than you are now. But only if you go to blokes.co/Jez and use code Jez at checkout for 15% off. Sponsored by Blokes and the smell of gasoline. It's not about the size of the ledge unless you're trying to jump on it, in which case, size is the only thing that matters. I can tell right away that I'm gonna hate this snaky Bernie bitch and that I'm gonna be here for a very long time. I immediately quit and went somewhere else, but there's no escaping the fire in this wretched game Awooga. Jumping into my camera while spinning at 6,000 RPM is so cool and reasonable. I can't believe I died. The Giga Spin won't catch me this time though. Very well. The delay on that spear stab is so diabolically evil, it gave me diarrhea. Between the slow stab and the ultra spin, I know I lost 9 months off my life expectancy here. At this point, I knew I was so far from killing the boss that I stopped bothering to heal, and a single dodged combo was a total victory for me. If you're trapped against the door and you see a twirly boy, as they say in physics, LMAO lamau. At this point, getting killed by something not slow stab big spin was actually a refreshing change of pace, so thank you for that. The radius on that stab is greater than 360 degrees, good to know. The colossal hentai snakes, what a sight to behold. Sometimes you can't help but marvel at the outrageous creative violence. Touch my penis. If those ground spears catch me again though, we will have a problem and I will write an email. Dear Miyazaki, what a cringe little genius you are. Sincerely, Jez. How many leap across the arena with a very quick stab moves does this guy have? And also it's too many. There's no feeling like being at 1% health but refusing to heal for ego reasons. Also stop doing that. The slightly delayed overhead corkscrew is very tricky for my always roll all the time strategy. How did this mammoth hide perfectly behind my own body? Can I get a zoom out or something? Who made this? Defeating this slithering bitch was orgasmic levels of pleasure. I'm sorry for all those things I said. This tusky pig slam had a pretty girthy wind up, and getting stuck on a tree isn't frustrating at all. Sometimes the pig is also quick as lightning. Well, guess what? I had bacon for breakfast. When he starts the slow body slam, remind me to wait 30 minutes before dodging. Not as enjoyable when you're the one being pressed into the wall, is it, Mr. Stinky Tusk? Also, I deserve that. Some combos are so long, I physically run out of will to live by the end. Waiting half a second to start my jump attack is 5 seconds too slow in this game. Stay awake. These rocks are a category 5 hurricane that really sneak up on you. That ass is so thick I'm now lactose intolerant. I rage switched to light roll for the first time ever, and the commander says call an ambulance. But not for me, you dummy. If I'm not mistaken, my turnaround animation prevented me from rolling. How athletic and exciting. Here I had forgotten that other people in the game can also use bleed. Vampire Suckboy. What's annoying about this enemy is that spamming the same move repeatedly almost always tricks me. For some reason I thought that walking right in front of her with my back turned would be fine, and the jury's still out on whether I was wrong about that. The bouquet of pink flowers doesn't seem threatening until you realize it's a Venus flytrap, and you've been a fly your whole life. I used to think that look before you leap was a psyop to suppress my masculinity, and to be honest, I still do. The thing that died here was my FPS and any faith I had in my 40-90. All good. If you eat enough Big Macs, you too can become a cyclone of obesity that pirouettes people to death at will. These gentle twirls of light will twinkle your intestines straight out of your anus. Be careful. How lethal can chlamydia head really be is a question only a true scientist would dare to ask. Those tits might actually be eyes because its vision was surprisingly functional. I didn't realize these tall shucks of corn were actually bells, so when I touched one for the first time, my heart exploded and I died in real life. While casually browsing in my menu, I heard what can only be described as angry Reddit sounds. And that's when I learned these STDs have insane eyesight, and jumping off a cliff into tall grass is not enough to lower your wanted level. A little pro tip for you guys: while being rushed by an undead skeleton horse, whatever you do not lose sight of that horse or that skeleton. After the amount of BS I've endured this playthrough, I deserve a little treat for myself in the form of spamming jump attack and stun locking this guy indefinitely. In an act of sheer boredom, I did a drive-by slash of this random overworld goat, and it turns out he was actually Thor, God of Thunder, reincarnated. I was completely unfamiliar with your game, and I'm sorry for what they did to you in Thor Love and Thunder. These two horn dogs aren't that threatening until you realize they have a ranged attack, so you brought a knife to a gunfight. I call this the saved it, maneuver. Horses are tricky and Torrent is dead. The only problem here is that the wings on this vagina scorpion are too small to lift it, and everybody knows that. Sometimes a random tall guy that looks copy-pasted is actually the strongest opponent in the game, on God. I was locked in on fighting Golem from the Kanto region and didn't realize we were about to recreate that scene from Gladiator. Using the same move 4 times in a row is extremely unfair when I'm not the one doing it. Also stop doing that, please. Throwing a giant pot at me is unquantifiably disrespectful. Also, 3-on-1 gets old fast. Getting the McRib 1 inch from death only to miss an entire jump attack is the kind of reality check I needed at the time. Words cannot describe my hatred for this pre-nerf Consort Radahn fight. Setting off a firework inside my own eye while staring into the sun would be less visual discomfort. I can't tell for the life of me whether I tried to roll or jump here, but either way I missed the button and got Goomba stomped by Diana Bolmario. Sometimes the perfect opening leads to main character syndrome, and side effects include a deadly overconfidence that the market will correct. If I slowly walk away with my back turned, I think I'll actually be fine, are the last words of the guy who was tragically backstabbed. The hardest thing about fighting Avatar Aang in a trench coat is this game's abysmal FOV. Only an incel would underestimate the speed of a literal lightning attack. I'm a virgin. Rolling too early followed by rolling too late is the only way to play this game for Miyazaki. Waiting patiently for a long wind-up goes against every fiber of my recently did Adderall being. Going for a stylish final blow is a strategy also known well to my enemy, it turns out. This may be the single greatest parchment texture ever put to film. Landing a headshot on this sad boy tree comes at a very inflated price. The economy's out of control. Surely I don't need to look up for any particular reason. Orbital strike conundrum. For a stick with no legs, this guy is at minimum a Paralympic gold medalist. Didn't I see this exact move earlier from a slightly bigger guy? I guess that was the CG trailer, and this is the mobile gameplay, Raid Shadow Legends. Going for a jump attack on a squirmy little flower enraged me more than a guy in his 30s can legally disclose. A mistake I made was declining to respect a single one of Erdtree's attacks, which sent my attempts into the high double digits. I'd do it again. If I wanted to deal with a wall of impenetrable thorns, I'd approach my wife on a day I've already already pissed her off. My only gripe with dragon fights in Elden Ring is that I hate everything about them. Is this a video game or feetfinder.com? This one is standing in a puddle of its own piss, just to be clear, and you won't believe the amount of urine-based lethality. Maybe a bit of open world traversal to help me relax. My face when every rock path looks exactly alike. What in the consort Radahn is happening behind this meteor shower? I lost track of my own character, curseyouBale.jpg. Jumping from a borderline height is how boys become men. 1665 Isaac Newton. Another gorgeous day atop my trusty steed, well known for crossing large gaps. Who can stop us? Why is the homeless guy dog also here? Didn't this DLC take like 7 years to make? Being staggered repeatedly by something mostly throwing burps is no longer covered by my car's extended warranty. With almost every area explored, it's back to the dildo simp for my final punishment eternal. At this point, my brain was firmly in airplane mode, and there was no joy left in my soul. Amen. My guy, if you wanted to suck me, you could have just asked, and I would politely decline being a man of the spirit. Naked with star fists is the final move of a truly desperate man, and it didn't help in any detectable way. Missing a punish window only to eat an entire combo like you just ordered McDonald's is par for the course in this dystopian wasteland of an encounter. The opening move being inhumanely fast while the follow-up is slightly delayed. What a textbook scenario that I will never overcome. If the choice is between using summons or giving up entirely, I'll uninstall this game every single time, and that's what I did. 11 out of 10, best expansion since Witcher 3's Blood and Wine. Subscribe for more death. If you like this video, you might like my 101 Ways to Die in Destiny 2 on screen now. I could really use the watch time.